Hello, this is the first of three linked podcasts which focuses on the immediate reasons why Hitler was appointed as Chancellor on the 30th of January 1933. To view the whole slideshow, go to Frog. It's in my revision lessons, and this is the revision lesson, the fifth revision lesson on the 13th of March that I did on Friday. Basically, the first section of the revision session was about the breakdown of parliamentary democracy. So as the slide shows, and that was a recap from the previous session, the powers of the president. He was very much of a figurehead. His main role was to appoint a cabinet which could govern using the Reichstag. There were two presidents of the Weimar Republic. Just a reminder of who they were. Hebert for 7 years to 1925, and then Hindenburg for 7 years from 1925 to 32, and then he stood for the presidency in 1932. The cabinet, just a recap of the cabinet. The key position in the cabinet was the Chancellor. We call it the Prime Minister. It is the cabinet's job. We often call it the government to present proposed laws called bills to the Reichstag for approval. And of course, more than half of the members of the Reichstag have got to vote yes for a bill to become a law. If the system runs smoothly, you would have one party in the Reichstag that has more than half the seats. Using that sort of mock-up example, Party B. So the leader of Party B would be appointed as Chancellor by the President, and lawmaking through the Reichstag would run smoothly. Of course, the reality in the Weimar Republic was that government had to be through coalition. So Party B, although is the largest in this example, doesn't have enough seats to form a majority, so therefore they would have to make a deal with another party, for example Party C. If they joined up, they would have between them 350 seats, which would be enough to pass laws, and so lawmaking could be done through the Reichstag, but it would be a coalition cabinet. What went wrong after 1930? Wall Street crash, of course, in 1929. You have a hung parliament. The Social Democrats were the largest party, but they, as try as they might, they could not find another party to work with them in government, because the next largest party, the Nazis, and the one after that, the Communists, neither of them were prepared to work as part of a coalition government. They wanted all power or none at all. So the Social Democrats had no choice but to govern using Article 48. So a reminder of Article 48, they take their bills directly to the President. So effectively the Reichstag is bypassed and is not used in the lawmaking process. It's what we call a hung parliament. A bill signed by the President is called a decree. There's the word at the bottom. Has the force of law, but it is effectively not passed democratically. It is government as a dictatorship, really. From 1930 to the end of 1932, nearly all laws were passed in this way. I suppose the key point is that we often think of dictatorship beginning when Hitler was made Chancellor in 1933. Actually, ever since Brüning had been made Chancellor, lawmaking was through this method. Democracy broke down before Hitler became Chancellor. And these are the three Chancellors that governed Germany in that way. If the Reichstag is effectively bypassed and not involved in lawmaking, as was the case in this whole period, then the people, effectively, whose elected representatives sit in the Reichstag, are not involved in government, and that resulted in extreme discontent. The leaders of the next two parties, the Communists and the Nazis, literally took it out with vicious street battles, what we call political violence in the streets, which was a common feature of this period. The country almost on the edge of civil war throughout this whole period of the Great Depression. So there's a quick factual recall test. Pause the podcast and go through those questions which are on these last two slides. I will upload the answers to the questions to the relevant folder in Frog. I hope you found that podcast useful. There is a second and a third podcast which is also on YouTube on the same linked theme that we covered in our revision session on Friday. Thank you.